Hello, hello. Welcome to the PG-ish podcast. I'm Erin with your parental guidance to help you grow yourself as a parent and raise healthy, happy, and successful humans. Hey friend, thanks for joining me today. Before I share some empowering ideas from Australian transformational coach Kemi Nekvapil, I want to remind you to head over to my website, pgishparenting.com, to learn more about us, to catch up on previous episodes, and to become a member of the Weary to Revived course. You can also check out our sponsors like BetterHelp Online Therapy, Love Your Melon, and Peak Teas in the show notes. Now, I don't love ads, but I do love these companies, which my family has benefited from greatly. I believe you'll like them too. Again, you can check out more of their company details and deals in the show notes. All right. Do you ever feel pushed in a corner, unseen, or silenced? As an introverted little sister, you better believe I was in the shadow a lot growing up. And sadly, it's easy to stay in familiar roles that don't serve you well as you grow older. And I know this because I found myself keeping my mouth shut or avoiding conflict even as an adult. Yet the injustice you feel when you stay quiet or small, or when people dismiss your feelings or opinions and you have to acquiesce is plain right infuriating. And yes, I know this also because it still happens in some situations and relationships today. So fun. But what if you redefined power for yourself and was able to tap into a sense of power you hadn't realized was in you? Now, you'll hear some of her story, so I won't take that from her, but as a leadership and diversity expert and coach empowering women to live value-driven lives, Kemi Nekvapil challenges the traditional definition of power by inviting you to create a new world where you take up space and are seen. A world where you're invited to drop the facade and elevate one another rather than compare and tear down. She believes that when you use your power to help others and make the world a better place, that's when you're truly powerful. Here's Kemi.
And then there was my relationship with power, which we can sum up in one word: powerlessness. I have an English passport and an Australian passport. I was born in England and I have Nigerian heritage. And I was one of the tens of thousands of middle-class Nigerian children who were placed with white foster parents in the unofficial foster care system in the UK in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. My parents, just like yours, I imagine, made decisions they believed would give me the best educational outcomes. And yet, we cannot deny the oppressive colonial narrative going through those decisions. I was constantly reminded of my place. Every single day, I was told, you are unintelligent, you are of no value, you are a burden, you are not beautiful. I was told in the classroom by my teachers, in the playground by fellow students, and of course by society at large. And I believed it. I believed that I was inferior to whiteness. I never questioned it. Because in my day, good girls, especially good black girls, did not ask questions. We knew our place. And to be honest, I felt proud to know my place. I felt proud to follow the rules. I'm a firstborn. We like rules. And I'm an English-born woman. To follow the rules felt like a sense of pride, like I was doing it right. Powerlessness. I never questioned it. And it has been the biggest regret of my life and the most significant teaching. Over many decades, I've had to build a sense of power for myself, to redefine power. And as an executive and personal coach, I walk alongside leaders as they redefine power for themselves, both professionally and personally. And I do agree with the Oxford Dictionary definition of power. And yet, as a coach, I wanted to make the in a particular way more tangible so that we would have some sort of stepping stone, some sort of building blocks that we could use to build power again and again and again, no matter how we identify. So what follows now are 5 components. Let's say it's a map to help you access your power, whoever you are, wherever you come from, and however you identify. P is for presence. To be aware of what is at play, internally and externally. What is working, what is not working. Our ability to be present or lack thereof dictates our ability to connect to ourselves and to others. O is for ownership. We need to integrate all of ourselves. The stories we have been told, the stories we have witnessed, the stories we have lived, the stories we have made up, and the stories we have experienced. In my first foster home, my foster parents loved country and Western music. Dolly Parton and Glenn Campbell, all days, every day. And I loved it. And when I arrived with my fifth set of foster parents, I found a cocoon. And I also found solace, and that solace came from musicals. On one wall was all of the posters and memorabilia of Les Miserables, to which I know all of the lyrics to this day. And on the other wall was all the posters and memorabilia of Miss Saigon, to which I still know all the lyrics. And yet, when I left my cocoon, I was told that was not the music I should like. I was told that that's not black music. And so I let go of what gave me solace. I let go of who I was and took on a narrative of who I should be, instead of taking ownership of who I actually was. W is for wisdom. We all have an innate wisdom, and yet we outsource it all the time. But if we can trust our inner wisdom, it will guide us. I worked for 7 years professionally as an actor, and many of those years were spent as a lead role on television, also seasons with the Royal Shakespeare Company and the National Theatre. And I gave it all up to go and work for a man that I had met once in a pub who had bought a resort in Thailand who promised me no pay. On paper, not a great decision. But I knew I had to go, and I didn't know why. But what I do know is that that is the place that I met my husband, that white bloke that I mentioned earlier. E is for equality. We all have a role to play in reshaping inequality in the world. But we also have a role to play in owning the equality within each of us without apology. My work as a facilitator means I have the privilege to work with some of the world's poorest leaders and some of the world's richest leaders. And these groups of leaders have different access to external resources. But what is not in question is their equal humanity. And finally, R is for responsibility. If you are willing to take full responsibility for your power, you have the freedom to do with it as you choose. If power is the ability to do something or act in a particular way, what are you going to do with your power? Because this is not the time to wait for systems of old to make a more equitable world for us all. This is the time for us to stand uniquely as individuals together and as a collective. And for those of us who have been told that we are inherently wrong, what if we believe that we were right as well? I want to share some offerings, not truths, not directives, but invitations. To my non-gender conforming friends, being present to who you are is a form of power. To my cisgendered hetero Anglo men, taking full ownership of your story is power. To my queer friends, trusting your wisdom and knowing who you love is power. To people of colour, knowing that we are equal without a question is power. And to my Anglo sisters, taking full responsibility for your unasked for privileges is power. And when we stand uniquely in our power, we're not afraid of the power of other people. If I can own my power, I'm not fearful of yours. In fact, I want to elevate and ignite your power, and I want to stand with you, and I want to honour you. We are creating a new world, a world where we must take up space and be in places that we have been told we are not allowed to be. We are creating a new world, a world where we must use our voices and lived experience without apology. The world needs a new kind of leader. Leaders that are focused on the collective humanity of everybody.
Oh man, I could listen to Kemi all day. And something I've been thinking about a lot lately is tapping into your intuition and how it's so easy to give that away these days or second guess it. With so much tech at our fingers, it's easy to look to Google or ChatGPT to tell us who we are and what we should be doing. I don't know why we give that power away, but we are. So don't do that. But with Kemi's roadmap to access power, I think it makes it easier to stay present and in tune with your body. What do you think? And will you give it a try this week? If this topic resonated with you, I encourage you to check out the full talk called What True Power Really Is, or one of her books, which is going to be released in September, called Power, A Woman's Guide to Living and Leading Without Apology. Links to all of those, plus our sponsors, can be found in the show notes. If you haven't already done so, please follow PG-ish on your favorite podcast platform. And if you find PG-ish helpful, interesting, or encouraging, please share with a friend via text or on social so that more parents can learn and grow alongside their kiddo like you. See you next time, my friend.